Don't let your feelings rule how you think. Remember, we tell children this all the time. Don't let your emotions take over. Logically work through something. At least that's how I tell my kids all the time. I don't want to hear the calm it down, take it down a notch, and please verbalize to me what's going on. I can't help you if you can't get what is in your head out. Put aside your emotions for a minute so I can talk to you. If you're a parent like that, kudos to you. However, that is not the way most people want you to handle children anymore. They want you to emphasize emotions and deal with your emotions and live in your emotions and listen to your emotions. A prime example would be the movie Inside Out. Y'all remember Inside Out? Now, I'm gonna be honest, okay? I'm gonna be forthcoming. I did like the first movie Inside Out because I did not look at it with the kind of lens that I have on today. You see, when I saw it, I thought, man, they're really doing a good example of how the operating of the brain happens. All these emotions are going on, and especially in young children, you have anger, they don't know how to deal with it. They have envy, they don't know how to deal with it. They have disgust, they have joy, they have depression, they have fear. They have memories. They have imagination, all of it in one head. And how do you explain that? How do you delve into that in a child and show it? Well, Inside Out did exactly that, right? Okay, good. However, the one thing that we missed, for those of you that did miss it like I did, is the emphasis on emotions. You see, what they did, which we did not catch at the time, is that they pushed an emphasis in making sure your child is engaged with their emotional state. But let me ask a question. Is that the way you want your children to be raised? To be always engaged in their emotional state? Or are you supposed to help them engage their logic to control said emotions? Throughout the entirety of the movie, all they did was allow these emotions to run roughshod over this girl. And then they included the parents' emotions. And then they included mom, dad, friends. All of them had emotion that every last one of them were functioning on. Not a soul dealt in logic, not one. We had not seen that until we heard about part 2. Now, in part 2, there are some concerning things. I will just lay out the concerns for now, and I'll tell you why exactly it's a concern.
I'm anxiety. Where can I put my stuff?
A new emotion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm envy. Oh, look at your hair.
What's your name, big fella?
That's embarrassment.
They introduce more emotions because Riley, the lead character, is now growing through puberty into teenage years. And they want to show people that awkwardness and anxiety and all these other emotions start to pop in, and they have to combat the stuff that the kid grew up with. All well and good when if you watch on the surface. However, they still make it about the child's inability to logically maneuver their way through emotions. They make the emotion the optimal point of interest in this movie. How does that translate into real life? They're in essence telling children the most important thing you can encounter is your emotions, your feelings, how you feel at a time, whether that be rage, envy, happy, joy, depression. Everything has to do with your feelings. What message does that help kids to learn? Nothing. That's nothing. They don't learn anything from that. Because at any moment they can have an outburst, and you know what, they'll be like, this is okay because I'm supposed to engage in my feelings. And then somehow, as an adult, you expect them to be able to park their emotions and deal logically. It won't happen. You see, logic is practiced the same way emotions are practiced. And if you allow emotions to run every one of your decisions, you will never be able to engage logically over anything. I honestly now believe that the writers of Inside Out knew exactly that, because what can they also introduce with the emotional baggage of a film? Agendas. You see, without logic, you won't be able to weigh right and wrong. You can only gauge how you feel. And they know that. There is no logic in this film. Not in the first one, not in the second one. No logic, because it is not the point. It is to distract you with all the fun colors. And if you look at the colors from the first one, which again, I will admit I missed, all of the colors of the memory balls, They look an awful lot like a flag that we have been seeing flying around America. It looks an awful lot like that flag. There was even a point where she was wearing a shirt that looked an awful lot like the certain flag. There's even a point in her mind where one of her aggression and her characters, rage, anger, is a red dude. The mom, the father had all males. The mom had all females. Riley's the only one that had a male character in her head. You see, they were already giving you the inference of emotions to convey a whole lot of different things with their agenda. You see, now she can emotionally act like a man. Missed it. Missed the whole thing. I missed it. I can tell you right now, it was missed. Not anymore, though, which is why we're talking to you about it now. Inside Out presents a very, very, and I will say this, beautiful image of emotions. They do. I will not lie about their ability to make you want to be emotional. But when you realize that the real world does not function on emotion alone, you'll realize the disservice that they're doing to children by pushing this on them. We all want to say, kids need to be in touch with their emotions. No, they don't. They need to be aware of it. They need to understand the existence of their emotional state. They need to be able, though, to work through that emotion to meet it with logic. Because with emotion comes outburst. And with outburst comes uncontrolled actions. And it's not until those actions happen that all of a sudden now you want logic to step in and say, well, let's just think about this right. No, you should have thought about that rationally before you made the stupid decision. But they know that they can get kids involved in their minds and scrambled up there and then bring them down here. Oh, it's what you feel. They can do that. And parents will look at it and say, it's so cute. It's so awesome that you can do, and they'll fall for it every time. Emotions can't tie your shoes. It can't. Logic has to tie your shoes. Emotions won't help you cross the street and avoid traffic. Logic does that. Emotions will get you beat up in a fight. Logic helps you fight. Emotions will keep you scared walking in the dark. Logic will help you combat that. Emotions are only worth one thing, and that is to pique your awareness about something. And then, once it's piqued, you implement the one thing that will always be true to you, which is logic. It never fails. This is why Inside Out 1 and 2 are dangerous to children. Some of you may not agree, but I'll ask you to do one little exercise for me when you get home to your children. This is a simple exercise, and it'll prove my point, albeit you may not catch it, but it'll prove my point. When you get home, ask your child this: what do you feel like eating? And then they'll tell you exactly what they feel like eating. And then tell them this: well, unfortunately, we can't get that, but this is what we will be eating. See what happens. See if their emotional state doesn't instantaneously take over and they get mad. See, most parents would stop right there. You can't get mad, or they'll engage in the emotional struggle. Instead of saying, you don't see that I asked you? And the logic side of you should say, well, at least you tried to accommodate me. You don't run with the emotional outburst that you're feeling right now, even though it may feel good or even give you justification for your action. Logically think through this. Mom or dad asked me a question about food to see if they can accommodate me, not to see my feeling about food. But Inside Out and the entire logic behind it is flipping it on its head. Forget rationale. Deal with how you feel. This is why the manipulation tactics today can work so well on children, because they've been told that their emotional state trumps everything else. That's why you have people that scream for no reason at people when they disagree with them. That's why you see kids that are in school are so volatile and ready to fight, because they are dealing on an emotional level and not logically. They don't even think that maybe if I hit this person too hard, they might die. They don't think that. They don't think that, hey, my emotional state might get me into trouble. Maybe I shouldn't act like this. Because they've been taught their whole life to be emotional. I'm not going to tell you what to do, what not to do. You don't have to go watch. You don't have to not watch it. We're just trying to give you some guidelines of what to look for if you do go see it. Or what to not look at, since you don't want to see it, but you already know what's happening. As an adult, I think for you probably should go see it. So you can see what we're talking about. See how many things you've caught after we've had the discussion. See how many red flags you see after this discussion. See how many blatant, bold-faced things they put in front of your children to get them to be disobedient. Go see for yourself. I will guarantee you this. You'll come away with a whole different perspective about the film, especially when your eyes are being trained to see what they're doing. And it'll also help you to understand one very important thing. Emotions are simply a catalyst, and they're not the functional way to handle anything. At all. So, with that being said, if you have children, yes, their emotions is part of their growing up, but it should never supersede logic. It should never supersede their ability to think things through, because at the end of the day, their ability to think things through will keep them from mortal danger. Because if you don't, you will ultimately be the one to blame.